Chang and Eng Bunker, the famous Siamese twins. Born in Thailand, they were conjoined at the chest and traveled to the US to become entertainers. Though they married sisters and had 21 children between them, they shared everything, even death. When Chang died suddenly from a stroke, Eng was forced to spend hours attached to his deceased brother before passing away himself. Mary and Eliza Chalkhurst were early English conjoined twins from the 12th century. Joined at the hip, they lived unusually long for their time, reaching their 30s. When one twin passed away, the surviving twin was tragically doomed to die soon after, as there was no way to separate them, sealing their fate together in death. Millie and Christine McCoy were conjoined twins known as the Two-Headed Nightingale. Born into slavery in 1851, they were sold multiple times and even kidnapped, treated as property rather than people. Forced to perform for crowds, they sang and danced, yet never truly escaped the exploitation, even as they became famous entertainers. James Earl Ray was the man who assassinated Martin Luther King Jr. in 1968. After offing the civil rights leader, Ray sparked nationwide chaos, leading to riots across the U.S. He escaped and was on the run for over 2 months before being captured in London. His shocking act and eerie flight from justice haunted a nation demanding answers. Sirhan Sirhan was the man who assassinated Robert F. Kennedy in 1968. During a campaign event in Los Angeles, Sirhan shot Kennedy in a crowded kitchen pantry, shocking the nation. Even creepier, Sirhan later claimed he had no memory of the event, fueling eerie conspiracy theories about his motives and mental state. Charlotte Corday assassinated French revolutionary leader Jean-Paul Marat in 1793. Corday entered Marat's home and jabbed him while he was in his bathtub, believing his offing would bring peace to France. Instead, it turned him into a martyr, and she was guillotined just days later, her act only fueling the bloody chaos of the Revolution. Mary Ann Cotton, Britain's first known female serial offer, poisoned up to 21 people in the 1800s, including her own children, husbands, and even her mother. Using arsenic, she quietly eliminated those close to her for insurance money, leaving a trail of mysterious illnesses and deaths. Her twisted spree finally ended when she was caught and hanged, chilling Victorian England. Juana Barraza, known as the Little Old Lady Killer, was a former wrestler turned serial offer who preyed on elderly women in Mexico during the 1990s to 2000s. Posing as a helper, she would gain their trust, then tangle them in their own homes. Believed to be driven by a twisted hatred of her own abusive mother, she was convicted of 16 offings, but suspected in many more. Dorothea Puente, a sweet-looking elderly woman, ran a boarding house in the 1980s, but behind the charm, she was a killer. She targeted vulnerable tenants, murdering them to steal their social security checks. She buried the bodies in her backyard while continuing to cash their checks. Her seemingly harmless appearance helped her evade suspicion for years, hiding a truly dark secret. 45-year-old Anthony Nephew offed his wife Erin Abramson and their 15-year-old son Jacob before offing himself in Duluth, Minnesota. Authorities described the incident as a family annihilation, marking the 25th mass offing in the U.S. in 2024. Police found Anthony, his wife Catherine, and their 7-year-old son Oliver passed away in their home. Police claim that Anthony Nephew had a pattern of mental health issues. In 2004, the Beslan school siege became one of the worst crises in history. Militants stormed a Russian school, holding over 1,100 hostages, most of them not as old as adults. For 3 horrific days, captives endured harsh conditions. When forces tried to rescue them, chaos erupted with explosions and gunfire. Tragically, 334 people never made it, leaving a haunting legacy of terror and loss. In 2018, 12 boys and their coach were trapped deep in Thailand's flooded Tham Luang cave for 18 terrifying days. Rescuers had to dive through pitch-black, narrow passages filled with strong currents. The daring operation involved over 10,000 people and took a tragic toll. A diver lost his life. Against all odds, everyone was saved, but the ordeal left haunting memories of courage and sacrifice. The Rzew meat grinder was one of World War II's deadliest campaigns, where Soviet and German forces clashed near Rzew. Nicknamed the meat grinder, this brutal series of battles cost the Soviets hundreds of thousands of lives with little territorial gain. Soldiers faced relentless combat, freezing conditions, and staggering losses, creating a chilling reminder of war's devastating toll. In 1941, as the Red Army retreated from the German advance, Stalin enforced a brutal scorched earth policy. Soviet forces destroyed everything, from bridges to crops and factories, to deny resources to the Nazis. While it slowed the enemy, it also led to horrific suffering for Soviet civilians, who faced starvation and death in the devastated landscape, a grim sacrifice in the brutal fight against invasion. From 1937 to 1938, Joseph Stalin's NKVD launched a deadly purge of the Red Army, targeting officers in a brutal wave of executions and imprisonments. Tens of thousands were offed or sent to gulags, including most of the high command. This purge left the Soviet military critically weakened, with inexperienced leadership just before World War II, a decision that nearly cost the USSR its survival in the coming conflict. Frank Lentini, the three-legged man, was born in Sicily in 1889 with severe congenital anomalies, 3 legs, 4 feet, and 2 sets of functional genitalia. Lentini faced societal challenges due to his unique condition. Despite this, he led an extraordinary life, marrying and having children. His story is a haunting reminder of human diversity and the resilience of those who defy conventional norms, turning his perceived abnormalities into a testament to the strength of the human spirit. Bonnie Parker and Clyde Barrow, infamous outlaws during the Great Depression, led a reign of terror across America. Responsible for numerous robberies, kidnappings, and murders, they became symbols of lawlessness. Their violent demise in a police ambush immortalized them in American folklore, but their trail of bloodshed left a chilling legacy of crime and desperation. In 1985, a great white shark swam to the shore in Australia and bit Shirley Ann Durden in half, tearing both legs from body, as her 4 children and husband watched on. Then, moments later, the shark returned to her floating torso and ate that too. Her body was never recovered. During the Vietnam War in 1967, a U.S. soldier posed with a giant jungle centipede. These arthropods are known for their size and venomous bite, adding to the dangers faced by soldiers in the dense jungles of Vietnam. In 2020, a 20-year-old Mexican woman was shot and lost her life in a tragic accident while filming a fake kidnapping for TikTok. Araline Martinez, who had previously posted other phony abductions on TikTok, was accidentally shot in the head while filming a video in the city of Chihuahua. At least 10 people were present when Martinez, bound and tied to a chair, began struggling with her fake captors, and the .45 caliber handgun went off, striking her in the head. Martinez was the mother of a 1-year-old child. The Bradford City Stadium fire erupted during a Football League 3rd Division match on Saturday, May 11th, 1985, at Valley Parade Stadium in Bradford, England. The blaze killed 56 spectators and injured at least 265. Within less than 4 minutes, windy conditions caused the fire to engulf an entire stand, trapping some people in their seats. Many were burned to death at the turnstile gates, which had been locked after the match began. Azam Mangori, age 24, killed Lorraine Cox, age 32, in his apartment above a kebab shop in Exeter, UK, in September 2021. Mangori, of a Stoke-on-Trent address, was found guilty of murder by a jury at Exeter Crown Court after he admitted preventing a lawful burial. He was sentenced and will serve at least 20 years in jail. Meet the most disturbing creatures that exist in the deepest parts of our oceans. The anglerfish, dwelling in darkness. The female lures prey with a glowing lure, while the male fuses to her, becoming a parasite. Next, the gulper eel. With an expandable mouth, it gulps prey much larger than itself in the abyssal depths. Then we have the viper fish, sporting large fangs and bioluminescent photophores. It's an eerie predator of the deep. And the blobfish, appearing gelatinous at depth, it transforms into a saggy, less photogenic form when brought to shallower waters. Lastly, the deep-sea hatchetfish. Adapted with silvery bodies, they possess upward-facing eyes to detect prey in dim light, revealing the mysteries of the ocean's depths. Mind-blowing facts about the human body that you never learned in school. The human body holds astonishing secrets often overlooked in school, from its ability to produce enough saliva to fill 2 bathtubs in a lifetime to the fact that the nose can remember 50,000 different scents. These mind-blowing facts showcase the incredible complexity and wonders of our biology, leaving us in awe of our own existence. This haunting last photo of 40-year-old Roy George Tinash Dikinyai was taken just seconds before he accidentally fell off a cliff at Victoria Falls during an outing with a friend. His remains were later recovered 5 kilometers downstream from the iconic tourist site in Zimbabwe. According to Zimbabwe's Newsday, he and his friend were taking turns photographing the gorge when he accidentally slipped and fell. A fellow tourist recounted, "We were alerted by the woman's scream, and she told us that he had slipped and fallen.